Chapter 3 Karma Yoga, the stages of evolution. Now Arjuna asks a question. If the culmination of life is in steady wisdom, then why should I engage myself in this terrible warfare? Krishna, are you not contradicting yourself? Krishna clarifies. There is no contradiction. Two paths meant for two types of persons have been prescribed by me in the beginning itself. The path of action is for the yogins, and the path of knowledge for the intellectuals. By stopping action, one does not attain the goal of life. No one can ever remain without performing action, even for a moment. Action is an inner compulsion. So act, but you choose action wisely by doing that which is your duty. According to his station in life, every man has a duty to perform. Let him perform it. From food, beings are born. Food comes from clouds. Clouds are caused by yajna, and yajna is a congregational action of individuals. The power of action of an individual is given by the Creator. The Creator is born from the Supreme, and the Supreme is established in yajna. A man who does not act according to his wheel of action lives in vain. The man who lives in the self, reveling in the self, and contented with the self has no more duties. Until this stage is reached, act on efficiently and without attachment, and do your duty. Thus alone a man reaches the highest. King Janaka and others reached the goal in this manner. You too do the same. For action must be performed at least for the sake of others, because people will always follow those whom they consider as their ideals. Look at me. Even though I have nothing to gain from actions, I keep on acting, or else others will imitate me and get destroyed. If I don't act, these worlds and beings in it would perish. For their sake, I engage in action. How to attain the goal indicated in the second chapter by steady practice is taught from this chapter onwards. Arjuna's question indicates the usual mistake made by most of us. To know the goal is not to attain it. By knowing that a degree certificate of a university will secure a job, no man gets a job. First, he will have to study, appear for the exam, and get the degree. Then alone there is a chance of his getting a job. The culmination of the goal of life is very far, and the path is long and arduous. So all of us have to evolve stage by stage. What suits a man at a higher stage of evolution does not suit him at the lower stage. Hence, the Lord clarifies that there are two different paths. If a man is fit for the path of action but tries to follow the one of meditation, he is making a mistake. He deceives himself and others too. The inner urge to work does not get suppressed by not acting, because the mind will continuously think of it. So the healthy way is to allow the impulse to work itself out. Nevertheless, he must try to control the senses of perception and try to remain unaffected by the joys and pleasures they bring. By this practice, the inner urge will get exhausted without his being snared in the attractive net of objects. A grandfather sits at home and gets his pension. If the grandson imitates the old man and sits at home, will he get a pension too? No, he will have to work for it first and then retire. No one can sit idle even for a minute. If a student does not study, he is not sitting without doing anything. He eats and drinks, he talks and walks, etc. Thus, all the physical activities go on, even if he stops them. Breathing, beating of the heart, digestion, and excretion. These physiological functions go on. Activity is the sign of life and cannot be stopped except in death. Since one must act, the Gita tells us the technique of action so that we may get freed from the compulsion to act. The first step is duty. We must lead our lives in such a way that no one becomes an object of our neglect. A son neglecting his parents makes them children destitute and starving for love. A father neglecting his sons creates delinquency in society. A wife neglecting her husband compels him to become an adulterer. A husband neglecting his wife makes her a helpless victim of his neglect. A student neglecting his studies loses all chances of evolving into a higher personality. Thus, each man has to attend to his duty first and foremost and reduce the tensions and injustices in the society. Next comes the stage of Yajna Karma. This is not neglect of duty but going beyond it and doing something really worthwhile. Because the Creator made us so, all of us have the Yajna spirit in us. What exactly is Yajna? The word has several meanings which have been employed in this chapter and elsewhere. Here in this chapter, it is used in the sense of knowledge. Yat jnana tam tat yajnam. That which is known is yajna. We are all endowed with knowledge by the Creator, and it has to be used in order to get what we want. If we don't make use of it, then we don't get anything. Propitiate the Devas with this and get their blessings, says the 11th shloka. Devas are the various aspects of nature which give us all that we need. Dhanat Devaha. These aspects are called Devas because they give to living beings what they need. Still, one must know what to get, from where, and how. Our present day inventions and gadgets are the best examples of yajna. The more you know about nature and her laws, the more benefit you derive. The huge projects and powerhouses, the tappings of oil, the mining operations, all of them are classic examples. Again, if man only takes but does not preserve the purity of nature, he is inviting trouble for himself. The air polluted by smoke from industrial concerns, the rivers polluted by waste matter thrown into them, the forests cut off by reason of which rivers have unprecedented floods. These are all the effects of not propitiating the gods properly. To steal the gifts of nature without protecting her creates hazards for man. Surely this is the worst form of theft. The next thing to be known is how to live in society. No man can live independently by himself. He is a part of the huge society which gives him protection, security, love, and knowledge. He should know how to live on a give and take basis. When a man lives for the good of society and takes his share as a part of the total, he is blessed. Thus, the vision of the man who is duty conscious at the individual level is raised to the society level where his vision is broad based and his ego is diluted by the yajna spirit. At this stage is given a beautiful cycle of the cosmic rhythm of existence. The cycle must be followed carefully, for it may be confusing if it is not understood properly. Beings are born from food and food from clouds. This is clear. Do clouds come from yajna? In every sense they do. When there is drought in any area for 2 or 3 years, then all the temples start yajna for rain. In many cases, when prayers for rain have been sincere, they have been answered. It is the combined need, will, and determination of the people that bring forth rain. The cycle is very logical. Forests attract rain-bearing clouds. When forests are cut in ignorance, then rains get affected. If the whole country understands the danger of denuding forests and develops them instead, then rains will not fail. This would be nothing but getting the rains through yajna. In a broader sense, beings do not thrive only by rain, but by all objects of enjoyment. An all-around creation of several material objects for enjoyment is called parjanya. That is pari plus janya equal to total manufacture. Unless the nation resolves to industrialize and produce all the articles required for its prosperity, there cannot be food for the 5 senses. For life thrives on the objects of convenience and enjoyment. Thus, Prajna depends upon the yajna, or the cooperative endeavor of all. Such united effort is possible only when each individual adds his effort to the total effort. Thus, yajna is dependent on the karma of the individual. This capacity to work is given to everyone by the Creator. What we call the Creator is nothing but the creative urge of the Supreme Brahman. So, the united effort of all individuals for the total good is the yajna in which the Supreme may be seen. He who acts in consonance with it is indeed blessed. Once a man is identified with the cosmic rhythm and works in consonance with it, he reaches the perfection of action. The man with such a perfected mind will find the all pervading self within all and derive the greatest satisfaction from it. Till this high level is attained, we must act in order to perfect ourselves. Great royal seers like Janaka attained perfection by right action alone. There is nothing to be gained by such a man of perfection, but for the sake of others, he acts in the world. A sadhaka performing actions in this manner becomes highly evolved. People around him begin to look up to him as their ideal. We have the habit of imitating our ideals. So the ideal man has to be more careful than others because he has a greater responsibility towards people who look up to him. Now, who is an ideal person? Each one of us is an ideal for someone or the other. A teacher is the ideal for his pupils. A student leader is ideal for his admirers. A father or a mother is an ideal for the children. A political leader for his party, and a young boy is an ideal for his younger brother. That is to say, each one of us, whether high or low, has to be careful in his behavior and set up a high standard of conduct. A tree grows from below, but corruption and bad conduct grow from above. You cannot be too careful in this regard. You have to be particular even in performing the smallest of actions. Now, Krishna places himself as an example. He has two roles, one as an Avatara Purusha and the other as the Supreme Self. In both ways, he is the most active of all, though he has nothing to gain. As an Avatara Purusha, he was active from the time of his birth till the end of his Avatara. He did not gain a single benefit for himself. The whole of Aryavarta was shaped by him in those days, but he did not benefit by it, nor did he stop to act. Without him, the Mahabharata war would not have been won. But when it was won, Dharmaraja got the benefit, not Krishna. But he did not abstain from work only because he knew that if he had stopped to act, everyone else too would have been idle. He set the best example by his incessant activity. As the Supreme Self, he directs the whole drama of the universe by constantly commanding the sun, the moon, the stars, the air, the water, and the death too to act. If he stops, the world will stop. Again, he sees himself as the intelligence in us and gives us the capacity to think and live. If the intelligence were not there, we would be as ignorant as newborn babies and would not know how to behave. There would be utter confusion everywhere because there would not be any cohesion in our actions. Last but not least, he is the breath, the spring of life in all living beings. If he stops to give us the life, we will all be dead. What does the Lord gain thereby? Nothing. It is for our sake that he works. Therefore, with him as the ideal, we must work diligently, unceasingly, tirelessly.